When I met him in person, he had like the worst posture I
Yeah.
had ever seen. Immediately unattracted.
Yeah.
And I was like, this isn't going to work out.
Of course. Like
And I literally left and I was like, why is that?
I just had 2 hours with my guys today explaining to them, some of you look like you walk like a duck, and you look like the first guy I would absolutely, if I was a mugger, I would mug you. You don't look like you can run. You look like you have no athleticism whatsoever, and you look like you're going to be someone's girlfriend if you go to fucking prison. Yes, I'm a performance coach. This is what I tell these guys.
Wow.
Like, you need to look like there is some boundary
Don't
around
they teach
you.
us in the military too to walk straight?
Yeah,
Someone told me this.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course, yeah, for sure. They teach you that.
Interesting.
And that's part of the reason why. Like, there's a really great study. Joe Rogan talks about it, where they take people who have been convicted of muggings before, and they show them the images of people walking, and they ask them why would you mug this person versus this person, and they see some guy and he's like prior military, ball fade, and the guy walks with his toes painted, like his feet facing forward, and they're parallel to one another, and he walks with a sense of purpose, and he can clearly see his environment. They're like, there's no way I would mug that guy. That guy looks like you would go grab him and the elbow comes right up to the face, like immediately, quick action. That's what that guy looks like. And then they would see some guy with he's got a torso shaped like a marshmallow, and his knees are locked out, and he's walking like he's duck walking, and he's going side by side. It's like, for sure, I'm going to mug that guy. Take his wallet. He's not going to catch me. Punch the guy. He's going to fall down. He doesn't have any balance or any lower body strength or upper body muscle. Clearly, that's the guy I would go after. Men do not realize that they're constantly being judged on that. By men and women. Dude, I was the same height I am now with the same head I have now, 50 pounds lighter. Just imagine what I was like.
50 pounds lighter? So you were skinny?
I was scrawny with acne and like this weird freaking hair and nearsighted shit, and I was so awkward.
I was cute though.
I was really strong, and I had really good balance because I played on the offensive line, but like I was so awkward. I couldn't walk, and I had a spinal deformity, so I would walk with my feet out like a duck. You know how some people who are like super unathletic, their knees are locked in and they walk like it. So they call me Ducky. That's what was my
I kind of have duck feet too.
Yeah,
like they like kind of naturally go like this.
It was something you have. I recommend people get on the squat rack and turn your toes in pigeon toed, and then do squats like that to like reform the shape of the muscles, and then start getting into athletic endeavors that cause you to use your hips and knees for explosion. Because what happens is unathletic people, what they'll do is they'll lock their knees out, and they'll use their calf muscles for stability side to side. They'll point their toes out. You point your toes forward, that's where athletic movement is. That's how you sprint.
Correct.
And so now I'm activating quads and glutes instead of just trying to use my calf muscles for stability.
Wow, that probably explains why I got like really bad knee problems too, because I never tried to fix and like get those stabilizer muscles.
Yeah, I would do that. That's what I would do. I would do lots of extensions, and then also like the Bulgarian hack squats and the Romanian deadlifts. I forgot what they're called. Those are the things I would do.
Cool.
To isolate those. There's one survey, it's in Rich Cooper's book, where they refer, I think it's a UK survey, I believe, 71% of attractiveness that women find towards men is upper body muscle.
You know what's so funny that you say that? Because there was actually a guy that I was like online dating for 8 months, which is kind of common in my sphere.
Sure.
And for Twitch especially. And when I met him in person, he had like the worst posture I had ever seen. Immediately unattracted.
Yeah.
And I was like, this isn't going to work out.
Of course.
And I literally left, and I was like, why is that? I was like, am I shallow?
Let's go way down this path, right? There's The Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins right here, and behind me is Evolutionary Psychology textbook by Dr. David Buss.
Definitely heard that one before.
Right. So the concept, just consider the concept. You and I, one thing we know about our ancestors, there's one thing we know about them. What do we know? Every single one of our ancestors, a consecutive line of successfully having sex. We know that
obviously,
unequivocally.
Yes.
We know that all of our ancestors, no matter how far we got, it is a broken chain of reproductive success. We don't know anything else about them, but we know that one thing.
Yeah.
So what we need to look at is throughout those things, the things that aided in survival and replication, those things would be passed on, and the things that didn't would not be passed on. Let's use extreme examples. Let's say you had a potential ancestor who had no fear of heights. Then they jump off a cliff, and then they're not your ancestor anymore because their genetics are weeded out of existence. You have another ancestor who has no fear of snakes or tigers or drowning or fear of fire or fear of, whatever, just some other disaster, some other thing that could kill them. And they end up dying because of their excessive amounts of risk taking. Does that make sense?
Right.
Or their lack of, it's not even risk taking. They just walk up to a snake like it's a puppy. They would end up being dead, right?
Which is good because you don't want that.
Correct. Right. But they didn't know that at the time. They're living in the ancestral period.
Right.
So now you, at the same time, you're looking at this guy and you see bad posture. Your ancestors, the genetics that your ancestors have left behind for you in your brain, that's what evolutionary psychology is, means natural selection. is applied to your psychology. Those proclivities that you have are telling you this man cannot defend me when Genghis Khan shows up and tries to rape the village. This man has no ability to conduct violence on my behalf because he does not have any lower body coordination. You quickly see that as a woman. And also, most likely, you're subconsciously saying his lack of coordination and poor posture probably would equal bad sex as well. So those things that you think subconsciously cause you to quickly say, I'm not interested in this. Men will see women who have a lack of facial symmetry and be turned off by them. Why is that the lack of facial symmetry? Because it shows a lack of health, and I'm supposed to have children with this woman. And so these bad genetic, again, does it make our species shallow? Incredibly shallow. Incredibly shallow. And the extra body fat, plus the fact that they're over the age of 35, their natural testosterone aromatizes to estrogen, and they get into this deadly cycle where that not only are they producing too much estrogen and too little testosterone, they're starting to have joint problems because of the excess weight that they're carrying on there, and their whole attitude changes. And there are further studies, not completely conclusive, but there are further studies that shows that this excessive weight gain also changes your neurology, which causes you to start going crazy. I've seen people get really fat and start going very crazy.
What do you mean by crazy?
Like they start believing in conspiracy theories. They just literally cannot take any sort of criticism whatsoever. They start basically seeing ghosts and having these crazy conversations with you because they got, I don't know if it's because they got fat. Some people will say, well, they already had a neurological breakdown, which caused them to get fat. And that's the reason why they're acting like this. I can't prove it one way or the other. I've just seen way too much of a correlation with an excessive weight gain. And then all of a sudden, the mentality changes. People who've been really overweight their whole life, I don't see it with them. It's the people who were normal and then maybe they got married or whatever and just completely stopped going to the gym and then just got really fat. I just see all of a sudden there's just these weird things going through their mind. I don't know. I can't prove anything yet, but I mean, maybe there'll be studies on it. But yeah, that's part of what the issue is that I've seen that happens before. I'm big into endocrinology. I really do think men over the age of 35 should get their testosterone levels checked.
Okay, this is what I tell every dude, and they get offended by it. They're like, no, my T levels are fine. And I'm like, how do you know that though?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, I have no age limit on it.
They can't tell their free or their total test. They can't tell you that. And here's the other thing. They don't tell you their estrogen levels either. And they think they're in shape, but they're pudgy. Test levels are in their 60s, 70s, 80s. So, or their estrogen levels are, and they don't know the difference. So yeah, that you'll see that happen a lot. And I just think it's there's a lot of things that we have misnomers about,
Yeah, there's so much reasoning behind it, and
Correct.
It makes so much sense.
Correct. Yeah. But the reasoning why Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg and Oprah Winfrey will give you is because they're bad people. There's not bad people, it's evolution.
Yeah.
It's evolution. That's the reason why.
Survival of the fittest.
No, it's actually, that's a misnomer. So it's funny. Survival of the fittest was not in the first copy of the Origin of Species by Charles Darwin. It was later evolutionary biologists who came up with that term. But that's an incorrect term. It is survival of the fit enough to replicate. Survival of the fit enough to replicate. That's actually what the correct term is. You don't have to be the fittest. You have to be fit enough to have children. And then you can die right afterwards. And your genes still get passed along.